Hi, this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Rippah Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart, episode by episode, the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast, so we always bring up spoilers.
Yeah, this week we're talking season 3, episode 12.
The Ties That Bind.
It's
kind of a random one.
Yeah.
The Ties That Bind.
This is, we'll get more into it, but this is like where we pick up Abby and Jamie. And
that's the big thing of the story for this one is Bonnie's mom.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. But of course, we got to start with Bonnie.
Yeah, we'll start with our girl Bonnie. She's having some more of her, well, we don't know it at this point, but she's having more of her witch dreams.
Yeah, it's the classic, she's just walking through a cemetery looking confused and she doesn't know why she's there. So you're like, must be a dream.
Must be a witch dream, yeah. Yeah, so Bonnie's walking around the cemetery. She sees headstones that say, like, first Grams, it's Sheila Bennett. And then there's one that says Amelia Bennett. And then another reading, Ernestine Bennett. Obviously, all of her ancestors.
Relatives,
yeah. And she sees a coffin, and then she goes over to it and places her hand on it, and then behind her, Klaus appears, and he says, I figured out how to open it. Can you? And then he rushes towards Bonnie and bites her, and then we kind of cut to black, and then Bonnie wakes up in the coffin. She's banging on it, trying to get it open, and she uses her phone to, like, light up the coffin. And you can hear, like, the no service sound.
Yeah.
And she's, like, screaming for help, banging on the coffin still. And then eventually she, like, tries to do a spell. Doesn't work. Can't get out. And then she hears footsteps. And she tries to yell to whoever is walking by.
Screaming her
head off. I'm really underselling it. But, yeah, she's screaming her head off. Yelling to whoever is out there to, like, that she's in there. And then eventually the coffin opens. And there's, like... there's like kind of like a foggy
very backlit strong backlighting rays of light of like a woman,
and then we see like the outline of a woman and it kind of clears and we see her face, but she's no one would recognize at this point.
So of course, witch dream, very scary one.
They're
always giving her nightmares, night terrors. Like
she knows no peace. Bonnie bags under her eyes for days.
The witches can't just appear in a dream and be like, do this.
Open the coffin.
They have to terrorize her. But anyway, so in real life, at the old witch house, of course, downstairs, Bonnie and Elena are standing in the room with all the coffins and they're all there. Clearly, Bonnie has told Elena about the coffins and about her dream that she had. And she tells Elena that she thinks the witches are trying to send her a message. And Elena's like, I'm just shocked about the fact you guys were all keeping this from me. Because she didn't even know about the coffins, like, at all. And Bonnie says that Stefan didn't want Elena to know because then Klaus could threaten people and then Elena might tell the information. So it was better to keep her out of it. So they're kind of going over the whole thing. We've got Elijah, we've got 2 other original siblings, and the locked box that Bonnie thinks is a weapon that will kill Klaus. Suddenly, Stefan shows up and is not happy Elena is there. He's obviously like, what's going on?
What the hell are you doing?
And Bonnie explains that she needs Elena's help specifically. And, Stefan is still mad about this. He's not accepting this. And Elena's like, what are you going to do, Stefan? Are you going to kidnap me?
Again?
Again? And, yikes. And Stefan's just like, don't tempt me, Elena. He got her.
He really did.
So
I still
funny.
love this Stefan. He's so unhinged. But
I'm like half and half. Now we're getting into the sad Stefan bits where he's like, he's still kind of angry, but he's regretting it. So this is so much less of a joyful Stefan.
That's true.
He's so miserable that it's hard to like him. But he still has some good quips once in a while, including the "Don't tempt me, Elena." But because he also like. I couldn't stop thinking during this too. Like, this is the first time they're seeing each other as presumably post kidnapping and bridge scene. I was like, this is so awkward to have to just be like, the fact that they're just bouncing into like these weird quips and like aggression. I'm like, I would not be this chill about this. I'd be like, so we're gonna talk about the fact you kidnapped me last night and almost killed me. But anyway, they've got business to attend to, so they just keep on task here. Bonnie jumps in explaining that she knows like who can help her open these coffins, but she needs Elena's help to find her. And they're both confused, and Stefan asks who. And Bonnie says, like, I couldn't place her face at first, but then I realized, and she goes to her bag and she grabs out like a little piece of paper, a photo. And she shows it to Elena, and Elena's just like, oh my God, like obviously so sympathetic and clearly like emotional to this. And Stefan takes it and looks at it, and it's a woman and a little girl, and he's like, who is this? And Bonnie says, it's my mom. Shocker.
Yeah. Like, wild.
Yeah, you know nothing about Bonnie's mom at this point at all. She vaguely mentions her dad sometimes, but her mom's never even been mentioned.
No, not at all. Yeah, I feel like the first time watching, I wasn't even sure if, like, her mom was still alive, like, what was going
or dead.
on there.
Yeah, you just don't know anything.
Yeah. On a rewatch, even still, I was thinking, it's pretty crazy that, like, you know, Liz is such a big part of the show, even Bill now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Elena's parents have passed, but in a way, they're a big part of the narrative.
Yeah.
Nothing about Bonnie's parents.
Never mentioned.
Like, we're 60 episodes in. This is it.
Yeah, her dad gets mentioned a little bit.
Like,
and this is the first word of the mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also just like, obviously this is such a messed up storyline of where it's going to go. Like, we'll get into it as it starts to like unveil of what's actually going on here. But I do love that Bonnie's like, I need Elena specifically for this.
I know.
It's not that Elena can find Abby better than Stefan or Damon or anybody else could. Obviously she can't. It's for moral support.
Of course.
She's like, I have to deal with my mom who abandoned me, calling my
obviously,
bestie.
Elena.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, Elena is, like, a good friend who's going to support in that. So we'll get into that search as it unveils, which is starting right off in the next scene at the Gilbert house. They launch, like, right into it.
Yeah. Bonnie and Elena, like, immediately start looking through, like, driver's license records. And they're obviously, there's, like, a huge stack. And they're going through a bunch that it's, like, obviously not her.
Yeah,
like,
too old, in Hawaii.
Lives not anywhere near here. Like, yeah. So Elena is saying, like, there are a lot of records to look through because she asked the sheriff's office to pull up, like, every single Abby Bennett in the country.
Yeah, the whole country.
Yeah, we're looking.
They don't know
a lot.
It's been 15 years.
Yeah, she could be anywhere. She could have been the one in Honolulu.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so they're looking through all these records, and then Bonnie kind of, you know, mentions, I know we haven't been really able to, like, talk yet. Things have been weird because of the Jeremy thing, so thank you for helping me with this. Like, I know you have a lot to deal with. Mm-hmm. And Elena just tells Bonnie there's nothing more important than, like, helping her through this, of course.
Yeah.
I love these two girls. And Bonnie just says, you know, it's so surreal to look for her mom who abandoned her.
Yeah.
And Elena does tell Bonnie at this point, like, she doesn't have to do it. Like, they could make Stefan do it. Like, this is his problem after all. Like, this is Stefan's charge he's leading. And Bonnie's like, no, the coffin is spelled shut. It's obviously a witch problem, so it does kind of fall to me. And then Bonnie does say, like, I was bound to see her eventually. Like, she was bound to see Abby again sooner or later. And at this point, Damon comes in holding a manila folder in his hand, and he just happens to have the info for the right Abby Bennett Wilson. And he hands it to Bonnie for her to look at, of course.
Saying sooner.
Yeah, sooner rather than later. And Damon is like compulsion sped up the process, obviously, just probably compelled the deputy at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Probably the one Klaus got too.
Yeah.
And Bonnie looks at it and confirms it's the right Abby Bennett Wilson. Mm-hmm. And Damon's like, road trip, I call shotgun. And Elena says, yeah, no.
Yeah. Immediately shuts him down.
She's like, no way. And Bonnie is like, oh, like, or sorry, not Bonnie. Damon is like, oh, you want me to sit in the back seat and hang out with you? Turning every opportunity into.
I just love picturing Bonnie has to drive them to go meet up with her mom who abandoned her.
I know, she's going through like probably one of the more emotionally traumatizing days of her life.
Yeah. She has to drive Uber style, Damon and Elena in the back seat. Yeah, it's just so funny to picture that happening.
Yeah, and also she has to deal with this. They're all like right next to each other. They're just very closely having this conversation. And Elena tells Damon he's not coming. Like, there's no way. And Damon kind of gets in Elena's face. Like I said, they're all within like 2 feet of each other.
And those two, especially
those
inches.
Two are like right next to each other. Yeah. And Damon's like, why? I'm the one that found her. And Elena tells Damon that Bonnie needs like a moment with her mom. She hasn't seen her in over 15 years. Like, and she says, we don't need your snarky commentary narrating the experience. Very fair. And Damon and Elena look at each other for a beat again, like so close to each other. And Bonnie's like, what is going on with you two? Like, obviously the vibes are weird.
Yeah, and Damon also starts doing like a pouty, like baby face, like begging, like being like, please, can I come? Like, he's making like a cutesy little face at her, and she's just staring at him. Which is why Bonnie's like, what? What is going on? This is not normal. Like, Damon, you just can't come vibes. Like, the vibes are so weird, like we always say, and Bonnie's clearly clocking that.
Yeah. So Bonnie asks what's going on, and Damon's like, we kissed. Now it's weird. Have a great trip.
And leaves.
He's
leaves. Out of there. He just drops the bomb and is like, I'll let her deal with that.
They can talk about it.
Yeah.
Little road trip conversation.
Yeah.
And Bonnie is obviously shocked. And Elena is too. She's
but
like,
he just said that.
What?
He just told everybody.
Yeah, definitely was not planning on telling Bonnie probably.
No. And so they just kind of look at each other like, that was awkward, but okay.
Yeah.
But
here we go.
Yeah. I just have to say also about Bonnie's mom, it's so crazy that she's so off the grid that, like, they have to look through papers across the whole country. Yeah. Nobody knows. Bonnie's dad doesn't know how to get in contact with her. Liz doesn't know how to get in contact. No one in the whole town still knows anything about her.
I know. It's so weird.
So crazy.
Which they do, again, this is, like, kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but they mentioned at some point that Elena's mom and Abby were good friends. And obviously, you know, Elena's mom has passed. But it's weird that they didn't stay in touch if they were truly, like, best friends. Like, not even an email.
Even, nothing. Like, Graham's. Like, and I'm always confused about how Bonnie's family works of, like, is Abby daughter-in-law to Graham's or daughter to Graham's? That always confuses me.
Yeah.
Because I'd always thought she was Graham's daughter for some reason. But then this episode, I was like, actually, maybe she's not. Maybe she is, like, a witch who happened to marry a Bennett. And that's how it works. I don't know. I don't know. The witch ancestry and things. I mean, it's the same on the human side, too, with, like, the founding families. They're always so confusing about who's what family side.
Well, I was thinking this, too, because Liz and Bill, I was like,
that. I know.
It must be Bill because they both have the last name
the Forbes. Yeah, but they talk about
but it's the same
Liz
Bonnie.
And, like, the family doing, like, the Mystic Falls. So I'm like, they must be founding family too. I guess they could be Fells or something, but like,
I guess it's, that's true.
Yeah, they're always really weird about like who holds what ancestry lines. And the Bennetts particularly confuse me. Although I've always kind of written it off as being like, I don't know, maybe there is something about the witches and holding like the female line in the family. Because also they call her Abby Bennett Wilson.
That's what I was thinking.
So I was like, maybe.
And I feel like Bonnie's dad's last name might be Wilson. That might get brought up at some point.
It's just weird to then name Bonnie Bennett and not Bonnie Bennett Wilson.
Yeah, and then to leave her, like abandon her. I don't know.
It's really weird.
It's very odd.
The whole situation doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it's just crazy that she left so far that not a single soul knows how to find her. Like absolutely wild.
Yeah, no.
But speaking of wild things and people being crazy,
and the Forbes.
And the Forbes. Speaking of, at the Forbes house, Caroline is just getting home and she finds Tyler just like sitting in her living room. And he says he's like there to apologize. He gets up, but she's obviously doesn't want to hear it. She gets really angry at him, justifiably so, and says, "Apologize? You bit me. I could have died."
Yeah.
Like we're way past apologies, Tyler. And he explains, like, the problem, like, that is the problem. Klaus told me to do it. And I said no. And then it still just happened anyway. It was completely out of my control. So thankfully he is realizing how serious this whole thing is, as everyone's been telling him for multiple episodes.
Yeah.
And he says, that's why I had your mom call him. Who's him? Bill Forbes, of course.
Bill.
Walks right into the room. Caroline's dad, who we haven't seen since he tortured Caroline and was forced out of town. I was like, this was crazy of Tyler generally, but especially knowing that he had last been forced out of town for torturing her and like kidnapping her, basically.
Yeah, I had so many thoughts on this. I don't know if you want you can wrap up the scene, but I have so many thoughts on. I just don't even feel like Tyler is smart enough to come up with this plan. Like, there's no way. There's no way he's like, oh, Bill is like, you know, this like great at resisting compulsion, and he was trying to break Caroline so he can break the sire.
Yeah, like, my only guess is like it is just like a last ditch effort of being like, I don't know, I guess it's the only person. But to wrap up the scene a little bit, like obviously Caroline is surprised and not happy about this, and Tyler explains since he like can resist compulsion, maybe he could teach me to resist the sire bond. And Caroline's like, can you help? Sure. Like, is that possible? And Bill says like, we can try. And Caroline is like, why? Obviously, why does Bill even want to help at this point? And he says, because he made a mistake and now he wants to make good. And I understand that. Obviously hinting at himself too and talking about the fact that like he wants to make good. And so Caroline kind of just nods, like showing that she's going to kind of let this happen and give it a chance. Because obviously Tyler needs it too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like you were saying, all in all, this is just a crazy situation that Bill can solve this.
I was gonna say,
which we'll get into as he tries to solve it.
I know,
but
I do really like it. Like, this feels like such a brilliant way to reuse Bill.
That's true.
To like not have him just be like a one-off. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
He just tortured Caroline for an episode and left. Like,
yeah. No, he's the master of the
now
mind.
He's
the person to call in for any.
He's mastermind. Like, he's literally like the galaxy brain meme. Like,
yeah, he knows everything.
I don't know.
Somehow.
He just somehow knows everything. But yeah, I do feel like it's satisfying in a way. And again, with like his payoff in the next episode too, I'm like,
true.
There's some stuff I like about that too. But yeah, I just don't feel like Tyler would come up with this. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I do think it's sort of like a last ditch effort thing where it's just like,
he's
who
desperate.
could I possibly ask for help? There's such a limited list of who even knows.
Yeah, that's true.
That knows about the supernatural stuff. Like, the list is contained to his mom, Liz, Stefan, Damon, who don't
Elena, I guess. Yeah.
Like, Stefan, Damon, Elena, and Matt.
They're out.
There's other things going on.
You can't ask Matt. I mean,
come on. So, like, the list is so small. Who can he can even talk to about this anyway?
This is true.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's not that hard to be like, oh, I don't know. Maybe Bill. He's kind of crazy, but I'm willing to be tortured, I guess.
He literally tortured her, but I guess it's fine.
I guess we'll try.
But anyway.
Speaking of crazy.
Yeah, speaking of crazy, but also not.
Yeah.
Alaric and Dr. Fell, Meredith, are talking and drinking at the grill. And Meredith says she can't stay because she's got rounds 15 minutes and a drunk doctor is a bad doctor. And Alaric says that depends on what kind of drunk you are.
He's so crazy for that.
It's really showing his state of mind. He's
that's so true. I was thinking, I've said this in the last couple episodes, they're really going in on the drunk thing of he's always drinking.
He really is. No, he really is. It's definitely a through line. But anyway, Meredith jokingly is like, I'm an angry drunk. And they both laugh. And then they agree to do dinner the next time they get together. And she leaves.
Yeah. And then, clearly they're fully dating now.
Yeah,
they're just have to acknowledge. Love that.
Yeah, I do really like them together, even though they get a weird arc. But
yeah, and she's supposed to be creepy. Like, the angry thing is definitely supposed to be like a creepy, like, oh, she's scary.
Really? Yeah.
But like, it's actually just really funny. She has like more of a personality than like a lot of characters do.
Definitely.
Because she's allowed to have this weird quirkiness to her that's supposed to suggest something, but ultimately doesn't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's so true. Yeah. I like Meredith a lot. But anyway, Damon passes her when she's leaving the grill, and he walks up to Alaric and is like, who is that? And Alaric is like, my doctor. I love it.
I guess she is.
She sort of is. And Damon is like, wow, she's a doctor. What's her damage then? And Alaric is like, no damage. But Damon is like, a girl that hot and that smart definitely has damage.
Yeah, fact to life.
Like, okay. And Alaric is like, well, I am looking for red flags because her ex called her a psycho case the other day. To which Damon is like, yeah, but from the ex, it doesn't count. And it's like,
he gets it.
He gets it. Thank God he said it.
Yeah.
And then Alaric is like, yeah, you're right. And then Damon like picks up a notebook from the table and tosses it to him. And they like kind of make casual conversation. And Alaric's like, I wonder what my exes would say about me. And Damon's like, nothing. They're all dead.
It's like, he caught him. He ate with that.
He got him. And Alaric is just like, well, Meredith's ex is a medical examiner, so he's dead adjacent. Brian Walters, we know he was murdered in the last episode. Mm-hmm. And Damon is like, wait, she dated the medical examiner? I don't think he's dead adjacent. I think he's just dead.
Yeah.
And Alaric is like, what? And again, don't forget, Damon was pulled in on this super secret murder, even though he's not on the police force or whatever. And Damon is like, yeah, he was murdered. The sheriff is trying to keep a lid on it because he was staked in the chest like a vampire. And Alaric is like, Meredith didn't say anything about that. Which Damon is like, that's red flag number 2.
Yeah, suspicious.
Yeah, which they're trying to keep a lid on it. Not a red flag at all.
I wouldn't be like, remember that guy you met yesterday who used to date? He's dead.
Yeah, exactly. How is she supposed to bring that up?
Yeah.
They're in like the early stages of dating. You can't just be like, by the way, my ex died last month.
Yeah, it's not casual combo.
No.
Also, we know why she doesn't bring it up for things that will like start to happen later.
Yes.
She's suspicious of Alaric.
Yes.
So like it's not really warranting mentioning.
Yes, definitely. And Alaric asks Damon who he think killed the medical examiner, and Damon says, I don't know, but if I was a cop, your sexy doctor lady friend would definitely be a suspect. Based on what? Nothing.
Damon is suspicious of everyone all really the time. Is. Like, anytime Damon's right, it's because he's always suspecting everyone.
That's so
like,
true.
You know, it's more so that it's like, you like throw a dart every time, like, yeah, you're gonna hit like the bullseye once in a while.
That's true.
You know, like that's
very
kind
true.
of Damon's vibe more so. But yeah, because obviously we know he's wrong with this one anyway. So, but yeah, exactly. So he's suspicious.
Very.
And is making Alaric suspicious.
Yes.
But going back to the usual game of Stefan and Klaus.
Oh, of course.
At the Salvatore house, Stefan is just getting home, and he finds Klaus is already there, just like sitting in a chair. He's got a drink. He's blasting the Black Keys. Which I was like, this is such a Klaus vibe. I love everything.
It really
is.
Here. It really is.
It doesn't surprise me at all that Klaus showed up. Nobody was there, so he's like, yeah, I'll pour myself a drink, play some music, and hang out. Yeah. So Klaus. And Stefan asks, like, what Klaus is doing. And he says, enjoying our stalemate. And Stefan asks Klaus what he wants. And Klaus, like, puts it back on Stefan and asks him, like, what does he want? He says, my hybrids left town as you demanded. Mm-hmm. So please tell me what I need to do to get my family back. And Stefan says, like, I'm not negotiating. Like, he acts like I don't know, like he's above this or something. And Klaus is like, you realize that if you're just holding them forever, that's literally the same as dropping them into the ocean. And Stefan's like, well, then leave town now, call me in a few years, and we'll talk. We'll work it out. Yeah. And Klaus is like, come on, like, let's just make a reasonable deal here. Like, let's actually do something. And Stefan just goes back to the usual threats. He starts like, in the ocean, I'll drop. And Klaus literally just starts laughing at him. He's like, okay. And he says, Crazy Stefan, how is that working for you? Any friends left?
Yep.
Klaus is enjoying this so much.
He really is.
But also, he's right. Like, Stefan's goal at this point is just to torture Klaus. Like, he is not actually trying to negotiate. He is not being realistic by being like, leave town and call me in a few years.
No.
Right. Like, do something that's actually going to, like, set up a plan here. He's not even trying to win. He's just like...
I mean, he is stalling at this point.
He is stalling. That is the goal. It's definitely
obvious. He's just stalling and, like...
Yeah, that he's not trying to, like... get anything done here. Like, he could try to pretend like he's doing any sort of negotiation.
And he's not.
And clearly he's not.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like it's the usual kind of Stefan of, like, a half-baked plan is what it feels like here. Where it's like, from Klaus' perspective, there's nothing here that makes it seem like anything realistic is going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, obviously he is ultimately stalling. And so going back into why he is stalling is, of course, because he's waiting on Bonnie.
Yeah. Yeah. Bonnie and Elena are still working on, opening the coffin, which they think Abby will get them to. So they're driving to Bonnie's mom's house. I have to say, it's so fall outside. It's so pretty. And Bonnie says she can't believe she's actually going to see her mom or, like, meet her for the first time, basically, since she doesn't even remember her.
Yeah. And she's never written, never called,
nothing. And Elena says, Bonnie doesn't really talk about her. And Bonnie says, that's because, like, she doesn't stay in touch, like, not even when Graham's died, like, just saying she's not around at all. And she says, can we talk about you and Damon instead? And Elena says she's not talking about it. He kissed her. It's not going to happen again. And Bonnie just asks, was it good? And Elena's like, it doesn't matter. And Bonnie says, that means it was. I love them. I love them.
Yeah, and I love Elena's face, too. She, like, looks at Bonnie, like, a little surprised, but also kind of, like, smirking, like, not denying it.
Yeah, definitely not denying it.
It's definitely, like, girl talk vibes of, like, you get me.
Yeah, you get it. I don't have to say it,
Yeah, because I'm not going to say it also.
Yes. Well, yes. And while they're having this conversation, Bonnie's phone rings and it's Stefan, and Elena is like, ignore it.
Yeah.
And Bonnie kind of thinks about it for a second, but she realizes and she says, he will just keep calling if I don't pick up.
Yeah.
So Elena takes the phone and answers it and says, what? And Stefan asks where they are, and Elena tells him that they're going to spend a night at the lake house while they wait for Sheriff Forbes to give them new addresses. Mm-hmm. And Stefan is like, you're kidding, right? And Elena's like, no, we need a night off from your insanity. And Klaus tells Elena that Stefan tells Elena that Klaus is getting antsy. He knows he's stalling. Yeah, obviously, like we said.
Again, he was not playing that well at all.
No, he's not even attempting.
Yeah, so they need to move a lot faster than they are.
Yes. And Elena's like, we're doing everything we can. Can you not call every 5 minutes? And Stefan just says, sure, Elena, whatever you say. And at this point, we've only seen like Stefan's face when it goes to him.
Yeah.
And then we see Stefan is in Elena's house and he picks up the paper that had the real Abby's driver's license and address on it. And they hang up and he obviously knows where they're going. Yeah. So.
Why would they leave it there?
That's what I thought. I was like, why wouldn't they take that with them?
Don't they need it for the address?
So they plug it into the GPS. Yeah, they're like,
I guess they plugged it in. They were like, leave it. We don't need it.
Leave it.
If it loses power, we'll remember.
Yeah.
I thought that was so silly. I was like, first of all, anybody could find it. And you don't want Stefan knowing where you're going. So why would you leave any evidence?
Yeah.
And then second, I would think you would need that. But okay.
It just seems good to have it back up. Like,
yeah, it does.
I don't know.
Yeah, or for some reference or something. What if you run into somebody and you need to show her a photo and be like,
yeah,
this is who we're looking for?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. But obviously it works perfectly for Stefan and to be able to follow them.
Yes.
As we will eventually see.
Which he obviously will do.
Of course.
And he's not the only one.
Yeah, obviously hot on their trail is Klaus. We see him at the Mystic Grill, and he's just like at the bar talking on the phone with his minion Daniel, one of his hybrids, one of the last remaining alive, apparently.
I know. I was wondering how many are left.
I know. I love how every episode we get a different named hybrid for like one episode, because then they're going to die. Like it's always like Daniel, Mindy, Tony.
Yep.
There's one before that too. There's like one every episode. Yeah. It's so funny. But anyway, this time it's Daniel, and he's sitting in his car, and Klaus is asking him about life on the road since they got like kicked out of Mystic Falls, and Klaus is saying that it's boring, and Daniel's like, you know, just give us the word, we'll come right back. But Klaus is like, there's no need. And he says, I've been making friends with the town civil servants. There's a deputy who's obnoxiously chatty, but useful nonetheless. And I just laughed so hard at this because I was like, I love that this sort of implies he's doing the same thing that Catherine did of like, you don't even need to compel the locals, just find the yappers and you'll be good. I was like, I fear for myself of what I would be in this situation.
No. Oh my God. I mean, first of all, I'd be the deputy.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Also, coming from a small town, it's so true. You just need to find the right person to talk to you for an hour at the checkout line or whatever.
So easy. Yeah. I don't think I could ever actually be the person dropping like real insane lore for people's back lives that are supposed to be secrets, but it happens. Like it happens all the time. You walk into a store and someone's like, do you know about this thing? And then they just start telling you.
One place specifically.
Yeah. I can think of multiple. But yes, it's so funny how it's so true. It's so true in a small town. Just find the right yapper and you're good to go.
Yep.
No compulsion necessary. And so Klaus asks Daniel if he's in the clear and knows what he needs to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Klaus has a plan in the works, and Daniel says he's got it covered, and he hangs up the phone. Then we see Daniel get out of his car and go up to a house and ring the bell, and a woman opens the door, and it's Abby. It's the woman from the dream. It's the woman from the photos. It is very clearly Bonnie's mother.
Yep.
Setting up that Klaus is a step ahead of them.
Yeah, of course, as always.
Yeah.
And just behind Daniel, Elena and Bonnie finally pull up to Abby's house. First of all, like Elena says, this is a really cute house, and she's right. This is such a fun new location. It's so fall. It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
And Elena asks Bonnie if she's ready to do this. And they get out of the car and they like go ring the doorbell. And, you know, as they're kind of waiting at the door, no one answers. And then out of nowhere, a teenage boy like comes up the stairs onto the porch. And he's like, hello. And Elena says that there...
It's like a little jump scare, too.
Yeah,
they didn't know he's behind him, so they were like surprised.
I will say when I was watching the episode, I jumped a little bit.
There's a lot of jump scares in this episode for some reason like that.
Yeah, Jamie surprised me, too, even though I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But he says hello, and Elena tells them that they're looking for Abby Wilson. And Jamie says she's not home, and Bonnie's like, we can come back. And then she tries to walk away. But Elena grabs her arm and is like, you know, come on, like we're here to do this.
We have to try. Clearly Bonnie just wants an out.
Yeah, exactly. And Jamie's like, I'm so sorry, but to Bonnie, he says like, I'm so sorry, but you look so familiar. And Bonnie says, Abby is my mom. And Jamie's like, oh. And he kind of introduces himself and invites them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elena is giving Bonnie like the funniest looks, like the cutesy little faces of like, ooh, he's kind of cute, Bonnie.
Which at this
could
point,
be your brother.
I was going to say, at this point, the assumption is he's her brother.
Yeah, or a cousin or something. Like, it definitely is giving, like, this guy is related. Because, like, it's just too weird. And
why else would this random teenage boy be there? Yeah.
Yeah, and so Elena, like, giving the faces of, like, ooh, he's cute, Bonnie, is like, Elena, let's confirm first that he has nothing to do with Bonnie.
Yes. But yeah, so
anyway. They make it inside where Elena's still making faces.
She makes faces the whole time. Yeah. Eventually it becomes appropriate. But now it's iffy.
Yeah, because Bonnie gets forced pretty much immediately. Like, they're sitting at the table, it's awkward, and Bonnie pretty much immediately has to be like, so are we related?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so obvious that it's, like, clearly, like, he's cute.
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely the big question. So yeah, they are inside. Bonnie asks that, but Jamie says no. Yeah. Abby isn't my mom. She dated his dad back in the day, and he was, he says he was a deadbeat, and that when they broke up, Abby took him in, put him through school, and, like, didn't freak out when I totaled her car twice.
Yeah.
Bonnie's like, wow, it sounds like Abby is great.
Yeah, obviously so awkward. It's so much worse for Bonnie, who to have lost this mom, to see that for this whole time she was raising some other kid.
Like, I have so much to say on this. I know. I just feel like, I mean, we can get into it now because you said it, but, like, I don't even really love the Abby plot at all, but the addition of Jamie is so, like, unnecessarily hurtful.
Such a gut punch, yeah.
Yeah, like, they really do Bonnie dirty, like, over and over again. Why does this have to be another thing? Like,
oh, yeah.
They could have pulled off this exact same plot with, like, like a cousin or something that's, like, helping her out. Or, like, I don't know, something like, he could have been, like, her love interest and just aged him up or something, like Abby's love interest. Like, yeah, there's so many other ways they could have gone with this exact same plot, but I'm like, why
choosing a teenage boy that she's raising instead of Bonnie is so hurtful.
It's so bad. Bonnie gets the short end of the stick, like, every time. Like, the writers did her dirty.
Yeah,
this is just another example.
It really is. But yeah, at least he's not related to Bonnie, though, because when he says he's not, that Abby's not his mom, Elena's like, oh, good. At least they gave her a love interest for 2 seconds, even though he's kind of technically her stepbrother in a weird way.
I know, he basically is her stepbrother. Like, again, basically doing her dirty.
Yeah, that is doing her dirty. It's a little weird.
But at this point, Abby comes home and asks whose car is out front, and then, she kind of looks into the kitchen where they are all sitting, and Bonnie's like, that's mine, I'm Bonnie, your daughter. And they pause for a beat, and Abby, like, she's kind of like
shocked.
Shocked, like, thinking things over, like, figuring out what's going on. And Abby says, hello, Bonnie. I don't know.
Yeah, when we get back into this plot, I'll have a lot to say about stuff, but we'll wait until we get more answers from Abby to comment on it.
Yeah, for now, I will say, though, I did really like Bonnie's outfit and, like, her makeup and everything. I was like, at least she looks good. Like, at least
they gave her a look.
She's having trauma, it's her episode. But at least she looks good. Like, I was like, finally, they give her, like, a color that suits her. Yeah. And, like, I don't know, I thought her makeup looked good.
I did think that, too. She looks very pretty.
Yeah.
It's the thing where when you're the star of the episode, you get the pretty look, but also a lot of torture and a lot of, like, trauma inflicted on you, like Caroline in the last episode.
Yeah, so, unfortunate, but and Kat's acting was really good too.
Yeah, it's definitely a Bonnie
similar to Caroline.
Episode. Yeah, I love it. Speaking of Caroline, we go to the old Lockwood cellar where, of course, this little party has moved.
Of course.
They're always down there. Bill is now chaining Tyler up. Classic. You love when your dad has to help you chain up your boyfriend. And your ex-boyfriend, whatever they are now.
Yeah, I don't even know.
And Caroline's just standing by, like, watching, and she's asking, like, how is this going to work? Like, what is even the plan here? And Bill is explaining his usual spiel, which I don't even really want to repeat, so I'm not going to. The brain is a muscle. We work it. We use it. We process. We train. Blah, blah, blah. I don't even care.
It's not even a muscle, but sure.
Yeah. And so he's saying, if you believe you owe Klaus your life, ask yourself why, to Tyler. Mm-hmm. And Tyler explains that turning every full moon was torture. Literally torture. It is a curse. And Klaus took that away for him. And Bill explains that Klaus took away your pain, so you feel indebted to him. And he says that to break the sire bond, you have to make yourself turn. Own your pain, and then you will owe Klaus nothing. You'll be free of it. And Tyler isn't really sure. He's like, I haven't turned like at all. Like, I don't know how to just do that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really know what to do. And he's like saying that becoming a hybrid also is so painful. You are quite literally becoming a werewolf is so painful. Yeah. You are quite literally breaking every bone in your body when you become a wolf. So like, even if he knew how to do it, he doesn't particularly want to do it.
Yeah.
And Bill's like, that's the point. You have to do it.
Of course.
And of course is forcing him, saying this is the only way to do it. And he asks him, how badly do you want your freedom? And Tyler considers it, and he gives like a sort of noticeable look at Caroline. Of course, of like, Caroline is the one that suffered the consequences of Tyler's sire bond, not necessarily Tyler. And so he nods, and then he kind of like walks back and like gives a tug at the chains to test it out. Clearly he's going to do it. He's going to try. And so he concentrates, and he closes his eyes, and suddenly he starts transforming. Like, I guess thinking about turning was enough to just do it.
That's yeah.
all it took.
Yeah, it is only the eyes at this point. Like, he gets the gold eyes, so it's like...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as fast as we've seen with the moon, where it just is suddenly like forcing you.
Yeah.
But he is like clearly indicating like he's somehow starting the process just by thinking about it.
Yeah.
But also just have to comment that it's crazy that Bill has figured this out, that like,
I know,
you have to break the pain and that's how you get out of it. Like, he's just this weird all-knowing character who just has all the answers, which, like you were saying earlier, like works in a lot of cases, but also sometimes I just get annoyed with where I'm like, how does he just know?
Yeah.
There's no way he just knows this.
I know. It does work so well, and I will allow this one. Like, this isn't as bad as some other ones because it is kind of similar to the resisting the compulsion. But how did he come up with this? Like,
I think I'd be okay with it if he presented it more as being like a theory, because it makes sense that he's like, the logic of it being the pain is what you're grateful for, and if you're no longer grateful, you're no longer sired. But like, he presents it as like, I'm so sure if you do this. But I think that's also his character, so it wouldn't work for him to be like, I have a theory, I'm not really sure.
That's true. He's just like, very like confidently going with
so it does work, but I'm just like, I just don't like him, so I'll find any reason to same. Speaking of not liking somebody's parent,
oh my god, back at Abby's house, Bonnie is holding up a picture of Jamie like dressed in a graduation cap and gown, and Elena asks her how she's holding up, and Bonnie says, I'll be fine, I'm not here to get my mom back, I'm just here to get like her help in opening the coffin. And Abby comes in from the kitchen, and she says she hopes they're hungry. Food is her icebreaker. And Elena tells her she has a really beautiful home. And Abby tells Elena that she's very sweet, just like her mom. And Elena is surprised.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. She doesn't know they knew each other. And Abby says, Miranda was my best friend. And Bonnie, obviously not really that okay with the situation, not having a good time. She's like, so you had a daughter and a best friend, and you still left town? And Abby's... That
line made me laugh so hard. I was like, so Bonnie, you can excuse abandoning your child, but not your bestie. We can abandon our children, but not our besties. So funny of her.
No, she's so real. That was the last straw.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's so Bonnie though. Bonnie's so loyal to her friends to a fault that I'm sure for her that was like, I've made excuses how you could abandon your child, truly. But
she's
your
probably
best
made her
friend.
peace with it.
Yeah.
But now,
Mm-mm.
But anyway, Abby says that her best friend is why she left. 15 years ago, a vampire came to town looking for Elena, looking for the doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
And no one could manage to kill him. So Abby lured him out of town and cast a spell to desecrate him in the crypt. And Elena realizes she means Michael.
Yeah.
And Abby said that...
I have so much to say about that line. I'm resisting.
Go ahead. Go off.
First of all, who was trying to kill him? What does she mean? Nobody could kill him. Bill Forbes? John Gilbert? Who was trying to kill him? Like, that is the craziest backstory to just throw out there. Yeah. Bill Forbes and John Gilbert, and I guess Elena's dad, who we don't really know, he had the whole stash. I don't know, but it was like, they're just trying to kill Michael. Like, I was just laughing so hard thinking about this. I was like, who was trying to kill him? That's so funny.
I did think about this too, because I was like, Stefan and Damon wouldn't have been around. They don't know about Elena or anything. Like, they literally only have humans on their side, maybe Grams and Abby, like, as their most powerful. Like, I don't know.
Literally crazy. Because then also, second of all, the other crazy thing about this is She just jumps into this out of nowhere. Does she even know they know about vampires? Does she know they know about the original? She probably does because of Daniel, but she's not supposed to like let them know. She knows that. Yeah. I was like, are they not a little bit shocked when she's just like, so vampires came to town? And like, I don't know. It's just funny. I know we're so far into the show now that it's annoying to do the song and dance of being like, oh, I don't know about vampires. Like we've had several of those scenes where it's like, I'm not going to pretend I don't know. But it's annoying to like have this scene where it's like, she's not talked to them in years. What? And she's just jumping straight into it, describing it.
Yeah,
it's just a way to speed it up. But it's also like, that makes zero sense to just, obviously Bonnie's a witch, but still.
Also, how did this go down? Michael came to town. He was looking for Elena.
As a baby.
He came to the grill. He was like, attention, everyone. We have seen a little baby that looks like this woman. Like,
this made no sense.
It makes no sense.
It's like a quick one-off line to drop in as a backstory that actually changes a lot. Like, that little line as a backstory reframes a lot of stuff. Because it's also like, is this why John knew so much about the originals? Like, is this like it's really weird. And it's like, they just breeze past it. She just says it, and Elena's like, Michael, and then they move on.
Yeah.
Because then Abby just starts saying, like, it took every ounce of power I had. It almost killed me, but I recovered. But my magic didn't. My powers never came back. And it's like, okay, girl, but can we go back to the whole, like...
No, literally, I'm still on it. Because I'm also thinking, like, how did Michael know that Catherine had a child and the line continued, but
and how did
Klaus
he know about
didn't?
Elena, but then... Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. How could he? Because my thought was always maybe he had somehow worked with some witch to do some spell to find some, like the doppelganger.
But wouldn't Klaus have also just done that?
Exactly. So I'm like, can we? Go back to that line. We need to elaborate on that. This is why we need
the Grams prequel. I need this to be in it. I need to know what went down. Yeah.
I need more info. Because if I were Elena too, I'd be like, wait a second, my parents knew I was a doppelganger? My parents knew about all of this? Like, I really just don't understand how they can drop this line in and just move on. Be like, this is actually about Abby. We don't care about that. This is about how Abby lost her powers and what she went through from this.
A minute of
at this point we met her for 2
seconds. Nothing.
Also, I'm already going into this hating her because she abandoned Bonnie.
Yeah,
so, like,
true.
I'm not even going into this with any sympathy for her at all. I don't care that you lost your powers. Like,
no, I don't care. Yeah, also not an excuse to leave.
Which is what this whole conversation obviously turns into because she's saying like my powers never came back, and Bonnie hits her with the neither did you. She deserved that. Bonnie deserved that.
Yeah, Bonnie gets some quips in, and she really I'm glad for Bonnie.
Yeah, neither did you. And Abby's like, it wasn't that simple. Yeah, it kind of is.
It actually is.
Sorry.
Though.
Yeah,
it actually is
because it kind of is that simple. You didn't come back.
Yeah, what? Like, I get that would, like, turn your whole world upside down, like, losing your magic. Obviously, we see Bonnie go through it, like, every other season.
Yeah, and Bonnie never abandons anybody.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also different to, like, Bonnie never abandons her friends. Abby abandoned her daughter.
Probably 2-year-old child.
Literally, yeah, because Bonnie hasn't seen her in 15 years.
Yeah, so she's probably 2, maybe almost 3.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, so she just fully abandoned her. And Bonnie obviously is feeling all of this anger and, like, is obviously upset and over this. And so she's, like, not hearing any of it. And Abby's still saying, like, all of this stuff about, like, that she cast the spell to put Michael down. And Bonnie's like, yeah, you cast the spell to put Michael down, and what? Then you just had to go teach Jamie how to drive? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing that makes no sense about Abby's backstory that I hate, and I hate about Jamie being part of this. It's like, obviously, Abby had no problem, like, being a parent because she literally becomes a parent to Jamie. She chooses to have Bonnie, like, she has Bonnie as a child for, 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why would she not just take Bonnie with her if her whole thing was like, I didn't want to be a witch anymore. Like, I was okay with losing my...
I was going to say this about a line later, but I'll say it now. She's like talking about how she's like, I didn't want to be Abby Bennett the witch or Abby Bennett. I was like, be Abby Bennett the freaking mother. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, she wants to be Abby Bennett the woman. Abby Bennett, the woman, was a mother.
Yeah, actually. So your magic going away doesn't excuse you from that.
No, I'm getting fired up. I hate Abby.
I hate Abby too, and it's like you just love Bonnie so much. Of course, like we all love Bonnie, and so to have this person that obviously is hurting her so badly. Again, Bonnie is echoing that in this scene. Like she is clearly upset, and she says to Elena, like, "This was a mistake. She has no magic. She can't help us," and she like tries to leave again.
Yeah,
Bonnie wants no part of this. And then also where the scene like further makes me mad is like Bonnie starts to leave and Abby's the one that runs after her and stops her and like tells her like, please just talk to me, like give me a chance, like stay so we can talk. And Elena then excuses herself saying she'll wait outside and just leaves. And then there's a little jump scare with Stefan. But I just have to like before we get into Stefan
before we can even approach the Stefan has arrived. Before we can
get back into Stefan, I just really wonder if Abby would be this like, please stay, like let's talk.
I had the same thought.
If she wasn't being forced to by Klaus.
I don't think she would.
No, I don't think she would either. I think she'd let Bonnie leave right there and she'd just be like, that's it. I'll never see her again.
No, I know. I was thinking that too. I was like, I'm so curious to see how this would have played out if, you know, Klaus hadn't become a factor in this. Like,
yeah, to force Abby to then actually have to forge a relationship with Bonnie. And of course, like we'll get into the end of the episode where like Abby does have more of a choice and does choose to get involved, but like at that point it's because it's like she's caused so much more pain. We'll get there. We're getting too into the weeds because I'm just fired up about Abby.
No, I'm fired up too. I hate her. I can't hate Jamie because
I know
he's not
just
involved.
But he's just a guy. But Speaking of hate, Stefan right now.
Our number one most hateful character right now. So Elena like steps outside and she kind of walks behind the house to like a barn garden area. And then Stefan is just suddenly standing in front of her and he says, "Hi Elena, nice lake house."
Yeah. Again, another jump scare.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm still like heated, but
to
go into the next scene.
There isn't even more to say there.
I have nothing. I'm just still heated. But just to go into the next scene because we have to keep
keep moving.
At the Mystic Falls Hospital, Damon is decided to just go in and investigate on Meredith, on Dr. Fell for some reason, because we know Damon.
Basically interfering with an active investigation. But okay.
He doesn't care. He just wants answers. So he finds Meredith in the hospital, and they're kind of like having the awkward like introducing themselves of who they even are because they've never met.
Yeah.
And Meredith asks Damon like what he's doing there, and he says, strolling the halls, you know, I like to wave at newborns through the window. I died laughing. I was like, that's so funny of him to just say on a whim because it makes it feel like it's true that he just came up with that randomly. But anyway, so Meredith like smiles at him and is like, okay, and like starts to like leave. She's trying to walk away, but he stops her saying, oh, I'm sorry about your boyfriend. Animal attack. Brutal. Obviously, he's trying to goad her. Mm-hmm. And Meredith corrects him. Ex-boyfriend actually, and thanks, I'm still kind of trying to process. Again, she's a normal person. When you watch this like as a rewatcher, you're like, she's just definitely like, that is weird that he was just murdered like that. And Damon says, sure. Obviously, he doesn't buy anything she's saying. And then he says, I just thought I'd tell you that it wasn't an animal attack, but then I realized that you're the one who signed the death certificate. And she quickly, like, opens a door of, like, a room they're standing next to and goes inside, and Damon goes in, too. And Meredith asks him, she's like, would you rather I say that he was staked like a vampire?
Yeah.
And Damon says that he, like, he cares about all this. He has to investigate into all of this because Rick likes her. And if you're a psychopath, that would really suck for him. She made me laugh.
Yeah, that was good.
But yeah, he's just like going in on her about all of this, and Meredith is so shocked, like guessing that Damon like obviously thinks she killed Brian.
Yeah, she's very
like,
surprised.
You think I did this?
Yeah, what?
And he says, I think psychopaths are incredibly high maintenance. Okay, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay. It's okay to the writers of this episode. We all have an off week. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. This episode is wild.
Like, such random comments are being made.
I think he's trying to say that, like, I don't know, Alaric shouldn't date a psychopath specifically because they're high maintenance, not because they're a psychopath. I don't know. Anyway, so she's still challenging him, saying that, like, if he cares so much about Alaric, then why not figure out, like, how he came into the ICU on his deathbed and then later, like, an hour later, walked out with 0 scratches. Yeah. Like, that's fishy. And Damon sort of, like, poker face, like clears his face. He's kind of like, fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, because Damon is the reason.
Yeah.
And so he starts to leave, but before he can get out the door, Meredith stabs him with a vervain shot. Damon falls to the floor unconscious, and it's like a dramatic cut to the commercials or whatever. But obviously, it comes back, and she's hurriedly like taking a blood sample from him, draining him of a little blood, and just like goes out the door, leaving him slumped against the ground, and just runs out, leaving him there.
Yeah, because he starts twitching, because obviously, they say later he was...
Yeah, he's got a tolerance.
Also, I have to say, I was like, I've never had like a fear of needles or anything, but watching this scene, I was like, she just stabs him in the arm. Like,
I always have a fear of needles. That's my number one fear. So I always am like watching behind fingers.
This was bad. She just like stabs him in the arm. I was like, oh, some bedside manner.
Yeah, she really is a crazy doctor. I love her.
She is. I do love her too.
I feel like if she were my doctor, though, I would love her. I would be like, she's great.
Yeah, I'd be like, she's wacky, but I love her. Yeah. But anyway, also wacky situation.
Yeah, less love.
And one that kind of could use a doctor. Tyler's breaking every one of his bones in his body in the Lockwood cellar. He's mid-transition. Well, not really. Like, he's still a human. He still looks like himself. And Tyler looks at Bill and says he can't do it anymore. And Bill, of course, is like, try harder.
Yeah.
Running this thing, taking no nonsense, of course. And Caroline asks Bill if Tyler can rest for a second. And Bill's like, they're doing this my way. If you can't handle it, you should go.
Everything's always Bill's way.
It really is. I hate him. And Tyler's like, you're right. You should, or Bill is right. You should go. And Caroline tries to disagree. But Tyler kind of yells at her to go. And she leaves, giving Bill the opportunity to do what he really wanted to do.
Yeah, go full Bill.
Go full Bill. He picks up an axe that's just in this cellar or something. I don't even know if he brought his own. I don't know. And he starts hitting Tyler with it, with the sharp end, cutting him.
Slicing.
Yeah, slicing him. And Tyler's like, what are you doing?
Obviously freaking out.
Yeah, obviously. Like, what the... Yeah. And Bill is like, does it bother you?
He's crazy.
I was like, Tyler is insane for calling him.
Oh
like,
my God,
he should have known.
Especially after knowing what happened to Caroline.
He knew he tortured Caroline.
But also, like, he did kind of need this, I guess.
But Tyler tells him to knock it off, and Bill's like, that's good, you're getting angry. It's inside of you. And then Bill goes to strike Tyler again, but Tyler stands up and, like, tries to kind of attack him, and Bill sort of steps away. And Tyler yells at him again to knock it off. And Bill says, your bond to Klaus is putting my daughter in danger. Either you turn or I kill you right here, right now. Like, no doubt he would do it.
He's so serious.
He's so serious. He will chop off his head in a second.
Yeah, Bill's so insane.
Yeah, and Tyler kind of, like, moves back and starts to turn again. Because he knows it's serious.
Yeah, like, I'm about to get murdered by my girlfriend's dad.
Father. Yeah, I don't... Bill's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one can have a normal parent in this show.
I know. I was going to say, somehow, maybe not even the worst parent in this whole
He's
show.
not the worst parent in this episode, I would personally say. Going to the worst parent is Abby.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. She gets better later, but this episode, at Abby's house, Abby and Bonnie are now sitting at the dining room table just, like, talking. Like, it's just the two of them now actually getting to have a moment. And Abby is complimenting Bonnie about how she's, like, become this beautiful young woman. And Bonnie's like... Please, like, just stop with the muffins and the compliments. I just want to know the truth. Why didn't you come home? I like the switch up here of, like, Bonnie had been denying, like, I don't want to know anything. I just want her help. Let's just get to business. But, like, clearly she did. Obviously, she was lying to herself and to everyone else because it's just too painful.
Yes.
But now that they kind of have this moment alone, she just point blank asks her, like, why didn't you come home? And Abby says, I had no magic. I was in a new city. And I realized that I just had this chance to be somebody else, to be Abby Wilson, the woman, not Abby Wilson, the witch. And again, I say, Abby Wilson, the mother, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Try that one on for size.
I don't know. I just don't even understand this rationale anyway, because she lost her powers in the first place. No matter where she lived, she was going to be Abby Bennett, the woman. Like,
yeah.
If she allegedly lost her powers... I also, this is getting ahead of myself, but I also hate that Abby tries to say she lost her powers because she left Bonnie. I don't know.
She does say that. They got weaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird. I don't know. I think, like, it just goes without saying that this is obviously so messed up to do to your daughter. And then for me, it's in this scene so messed up to tell your daughter that you're like, actually, I just found myself in a new city, and I was like, why don't I restart fresh? Like, imagine your mother saying that to you, being
oh my God.
Not even, because the thing is, like, you know, we've seen a lot of varied stories about, like, motherhood in this show, surprisingly. Yeah. And a good example, I think, to compare to here is Isabel. Because Isabel, of course, also did, like, leave Elena. Yeah. But I 100% forgive and understand Isabel in that situation. She was, like, 16 17 years old when she gave birth to Elena. And purposely gave her up so that Elena could have a better life because Isabel couldn't give that to her. Yes. Like, that's so understandable. And if Abby had said to Bonnie in this scene, like, I couldn't be a good mother to you. Like, I was depressed, or I was like...
Depressed because she lost her powers.
Yeah, I was going through a lot. I was not the same person. I was dark. I was, you know, whatever it was. I could understand slightly better of being like, I wanted you to have a better life. And I knew if this was somehow motivated of giving Bonnie a better life, yes, it would be so much more understandable or forgivable. But instead, she's just like, nah, I just, like, wanted to start fresh. Like, I was just in a new city. And I wasn't a witch anymore, so yeah, it was just like a new girl. Why not?
What?
Why not be Abby Wilson, the woman?
Girl, get bangs and still be a mother. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's so weird.
It's so weird. Ugh. And again, she doesn't say Bennett, which makes me wonder, like, then is she a Bennett, or she's rebranding as Abby Wilson? Not Abby Bennett. Know. I don't understand any of that. Again, it was not fleshed out enough for me. I don't understand it. But... Yeah, anyway, just getting back into this here, Abby's still, like, trying to explain all of this away to Bonnie, saying that, like, Bonnie had her dad and she had Grams, and Grams is so much better at this stuff anyway, like, let's be real. And Bonnie realizes, like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, obviously, you don't know. You don't know what happened.
Yeah, clearly. She has no way of knowing.
And Abby's just like, what? And they kind of, like, look at each other for a second, and without even saying, it is obviously clear. Grams is dead. I don't have Grams, actually. Yeah. That's why I'm here, having to talk to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't come here if I had Grams.
Yeah, I wouldn't need
come
you.
Come
on. And so, you know, Abby asks, how did it happen? And Bonnie tells her, like, they were doing a rough spell. It exhausted both of them, Grams more so than Bonnie. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, ... obviously it was enough to kill Grams. And they both kind of start crying. It's an emotional. This is, like, the first moment you see them sort of connecting, in that they both clearly loved this woman and lost her. Yes. And it's reopening for Bonnie, and Abby is experiencing it for the first time. And so, you know, Abby kind of, like, redirects the situation, saying, like, I've told you my story, like, what's brought you here? I was like, first of all, Abby, you haven't explained
to me
nearly
enough. Anything.
We know nothing. We know you just abandoned her because you felt like it on a whim. But whatever. Ugh. So she says, like, what has brought you here? So Bonnie takes it back into business territory and explains that, like, she had this dream that made her think that Abby could help her, but without Abby having any magic, she doesn't really know how she can help. And Abby's like, well, I'm not totally useless. Like, I have herbs the earth provides. Bonnie basically laughs in her face. She's like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know about some herbs helping us open, like, a spelled coffin that's 1,000 years old, but thanks. But Abby pleads, like, please, Bonnie, please, like, let me help you. Mm-hmm. And again, this was where I was like, I really wonder if she'd be so desperate to be like, please, Bonnie, let me help you, if she wasn't being forced to literally, like, find out more info and keep Bonnie on the hook. Like, I really don't think she would.
No, I don't think she would either. Mm-mm. Yeah. I hate Abby. Anyway, slightly, I don't hate either of these.
I don't hate either of them, but also, like, a tense situation going down. Definitely some emotions.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Elena and Stefan are standing outside still, and Stefan confronts her about lying about where they were going, and Elena is like, honestly, I do not care. Like, I don't care
what you think.
Sorry, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
and Stefan, you're, like, a little hurt.
Yeah, whatever. You tried to kill me 2 days ago. Like, it doesn't matter. And Stefan is like, this is exactly why I didn't want you in the loop.
Oh, drama.
It's getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm over it. He's so...
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's like, I do enjoy Rippah Stefan. I enjoy No Humanity Stefan. It's so quippy. But he's not that anymore. We've said multiple times, like, he definitely has his humanity back.
Yeah,
and that's why
he's not doing it. Yeah.
That's why it doesn't work anymore. Is because he is feeling these, like, weird anger and emotional. But he's still trying to act like he's not.
I know.
And it's actually more annoying than any other version of Stefan.
That's true. That's true. He has a few quips now and then. But yeah,
he's lost.
His good era is
he's lost
over soon. Yeah.
The emotions are back, ruining everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. And Elena's just like, yeah, you didn't want me in the loop because now you can do whatever you can't do whatever you would want.
Yeah. Yeah, someone's actually standing up to him.
Yeah, someone's like, stop, Stefan. And then, Stefan gets mad. He kicks a chair. And then Jamie comes into the barn asking if everything is all right. And Elena tells Jamie to, like, go back inside. It's probably better for him in there, which is like...
She's not covering the situation at all. She's like, please, it's better for you. Please, Jamie, get out of here. Like, save yourself, basically.
Yeah. Which also, poor Jamie, he has two options. Be part of that awkward-ass conversation in the house, or has Stefan almost murder him. I don't know. But yeah, so she tells Jamie to go back inside, and Jamie's like, no, I don't think so. And he walks towards Stefan.
Well, because this really, like, if you were just coming, which I think as a first-time viewer, obviously you're thinking, like, he's just, like, seeing this as, like, whatever. It looks like Elena's abusive ex-boyfriend followed her to the house to, like, try to harass her and beat her up. So it's good that he's immediately like, I'm standing up to this guy.
Exactly. Yeah, it does come off like that at first, which I was like, okay, I hate the idea of Jamie, but that does make me like Jamie.
Yeah, he's trying to defend her.
Yes. And he walks towards Stefan, and Stefan is like, I'd listen to her.
Yeah.
And Jamie's just like, no. So Stefan grabs him by the throat and compels him to, like, go back inside before he tears his throat out.
Yeah.
And then, Stefan lets Jamie go, and Jamie walks away. Elena yells at Stefan, I don't think you realize how bad you've gotten.
Yeah.
And Stefan is like, this is the way it has to be. Of course.
Classic, yeah.
And Elena, kind of laughs at him and is like, out villain the villain, we get it. And then Jamie comes back with a shotgun and it's like, you're not supposed to be here. And Elena is like, what are you doing? And Jamie's like, I'm doing what I was told. Obviously, we know Daniel had already been there.
Yeah.
And Stefan realizes he's compelled.
Yeah.
And Jamie shoots Stefan at this point.
Yeah.
Stefan falls to the ground on his back. Obviously, he's probably got those wooden bullets. And inside, Bonnie hears the shot and is like, what was that? And stands up and goes to the door. And Abby, like, gets a pouch out of her back pocket and puts some herbs in her hand and goes up behind Bonnie, like, puts them in or over her mouth and, like, pulls her back. And Bonnie, like, falls to the ground.
Yeah, immediately, like, unconscious, knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, it's coming because they already tell you that Daniel's there before they even get there.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, it does, like, obviously the shoe has dropped now of, like, what Klaus has set up for them, that it is like a trap, basically.
Yeah. Also, I have to say, it's completely unrelated to what we're saying, but I noticed it in the scene the most. Elena's outfit. I have so many mixed emotions. We might have to make a poll.
Oh,
if you like or dislike.
Yeah, I'd like a poll on that one.
It's very, like, 2010s. So that kind of makes me like it in a way. But it's bordering on Christian Girl Fall.
Which is so 2010s.
Which is so 2010s.
I know. I was debating it too. I think I do fall in the camp of I do like it, but I wouldn't wear it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, that's very fair. Yeah, I don't hate it. Because also it's like, it is kind of Christian Girl Fall. But it's like Elena's spin on it. It feels very Elena.
Yeah.
She's got her knee-high traveling boots that she wore at the lake house the last time. And she has, like, the skirt is, like, kind of like a cargo-y skirt, like khaki material, which feels like kind of Elena.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
And then the long cardigan is so 2010s.
Yeah. Yes, the long cardigan. Yeah, maybe we don't need a poll. We like it. We just wouldn't wear it.
We'll still do a poll. I'm curious what you think. Yeah. But yeah, my opinion is I like it. I like it for Elena, but I wouldn't wear it. I probably would have worn it in 2011 or so when this came out. I probably wanted the outfit.
I was never a skirt girly, but definitely the top situation. The long cardigan and cami.
Just like that. And because of Elena.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. It is a funny outfit. We could do a poll.
Yeah. But anyway, more serious matters.
Yes, more serious matters. At Alaric's apartment, aka Alaric's gym, he's like lifting weights, bench pressing, I don't know these things. Yeah. And Damon just like lets himself in, and he comes on in, and he's like looking at the stove, looking in the kitchen, and Alaric's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And Damon like opens the pot on the stove and says, "Looking for a bunny." "You're good for now." For anyone who doesn't know, that's a Fatal Attraction joke about a woman who like goes crazy and kills her love interest pet bunny.
Okay.
And, like, it's like a whole.
I was gonna say, I was like, is this supposed to be like about fairy tales or something? I didn't get this. Was
Fatal Attraction.
Got it.
It's like a movie where like
that's good.
A stalker woman basically.
Yes, yeah.
And so it just made me laugh.
Okay, I like that. I can appreciate that more now.
Yeah, that was a good joke. And Alaric's like, you're still obsessed with Meredith. And he's like putting the weights down, sitting up to talk to Damon now. And he points out that like Damon should be more focused on the originals and Klaus, not Meredith. And Damon pours himself a drink, saying that Alaric should keep lifting those weights because he's going to need some self-defense if he's going to keep dating Meredith.
Yep.
And Alaric's obviously like, what are you talking about? And Damon says, your doctor vervained me and then she bloodjacked me. Alaric is obviously shocked, like, what are you talking about? His only line, this whole scene is like, what?
Yeah.
And Damon explains, I went to the hospital to accuse her of killing her ex-boyfriend.
Of course. Which,
by the way, very sensitive subject, obviously. And Alaric's obviously not happy. Again, asking Damon, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that? I told you to stay out of it and that I wanted to handle it. But Damon says, well, it doesn't matter. I proved your point. She's a diagnosed psycho case. You're welcome. So putting in the day's work, I guess. Got to protect our besties somehow.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, back at Abby's house, Jamie is just tying Elena up to a post while Stefan is laying on the ground, like in pain, clearly. Obviously, it definitely was like a wood bullet that like split off and broke. And Elena asks Jamie why he's doing this, but Jamie doesn't really answer. He just keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Elena tries to tell Jamie Stefan needs help to get him to let her go. But Jamie's just like, not having it. And then Abby calls for Jamie. And then Elena sees Abby dragging unconscious Bonnie
across the driveway.
Yeah, across the driveway. Oh my God, poor Bonnie.
Poor Bonnie, she goes through it.
And Elena calls to Bonnie, and Jamie runs over to Abby and tries picks her up, and they both put Bonnie in the back seat.
Fully kidnapped.
Yeah, fully kidnapped. It's just really weird. But anyway, we'll pick back up with that. But not before we see Tyler still turning in the Lockwood cellar. It's just a quick little scene. He's obviously turning, and then he at one point rips the
because he's starting to really turn. So he's strong enough. Also, this is, I think, interesting. Like the first hybrid turning into a wolf that we're seeing. We've never seen except for Klaus, but we barely saw him anyway.
Yeah.
But first wolf hybrid. So totally stronger, different game.
For sure.
Underprepared.
Yeah, he rips out the steel chains. They come out of the wall. The chain flies across the room, almost knocks Bill out. It's pretty good. And then, he tells Bill the chains are not strong enough. He needs to
get
leave.
out of here, run.
And, Bill is very surprised. He said he knew what he was expecting, but I don't think he really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't really do anything at first. So Tyler yells at him to run. And then Bill starts to run away, but not before Tyler completely transforms and catches up with Bill.
Yeah, and obviously attacks him as it kind of cuts away. Yeah, smart enough to know that Tyler needed to turn in order to break the sire bond, but not smart enough to take any precautions to be maybe we should do this behind the wall, close the fence or something, the gate.
Why wouldn't he?
I can yell. Keep going. Work harder through the gate.
Yeah, through the gate, or even above ground, or near the steps, or anything.
He did not need to be right next to him. I guess when he was using the axe, but after that,
that's true.
After that, go behind the gate, close the door, or something. I don't know. Also, keep Caroline right by the door or something to help blockade.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy that they were just bye. We can do this on our own. Yeah. Boys trip.
Boys night.
Yeah, so stupid. It's
dumb.
Speaking of dumb plans, but also pans out for some people.
Does work in a way.
So on the road, it's just nighttime. We see Daniel is leaning against his car, just on the side of the road, when another car pulls up and parks, and it's Abby, and she gets out of her car and goes up to Daniel, and she's saying that Bonnie didn't tell her where the coffins are, it didn't work. The vampire showed up and whatever. Jamie had to take care of it. And then we see Bonnie is waking up and she starts getting out of the car. And Abby looks back at her and walks towards Bonnie. And Bonnie's obviously pissed. She's obviously what is going on? What happened? And Abby warns her that she shouldn't use any magic because the herbs also muted Bonnie's magic, so she can't access it right now. And Bonnie's looking around and is like, where's Elena? Like, obviously, what is going on? And Abby says Elena's fine. She'll be fine. Like, you need to listen. And she's telling Bonnie that she needs her help. Like, I need you to help me with those coffins. And Bonnie's like, why? Like, why do you need to know where the coffins are? And Abby says, because if you don't, that man compelled Jamie to kill himself. And Bonnie, like, hesitates, but obviously says, like, I can't tell you. This goes way beyond you and me. And Abby is starting to, like, give Bonnie, like, the spiel as she's sneakily, like, pulling her phone out and texting. Yeah. And she is, like, doing it, holding it low enough so that Daniel the hybrid can't see, like, Bonnie's body is blocking the phone. And so she types a message and she's, like, pleading, like, please help me. Like, please save Jamie's life. And she turns the phone around and puts it in Bonnie's hand. And she looks at the text and it says, warn your friends.
Yep.
So clearly Abby is going to have to, like, get the location of the coffins from Bonnie. But she's going to at least give her the time to warn Damon to, like, go and do what you can to stop it before it inevitably has to kind of, like, fall apart. So thank God Bonnie, like, got something from Abby that she tried to help at least a little bit, even if it was, like, pretty last minute and not that helpful, but whatever. Speaking of trying to help.
Trying to help. We see Jamie back with them. He's walking to the barn. Elena is, like, moving her hands that are tied to the post up and down. And there's, like, a metal piece on the back of the post that she's trying to, like, cut the rope with.
Yeah.
And we see Stefan is still lying on the ground, obviously. He's still, like, clearly in pain. Yeah. And Jamie says Abby hasn't called. And Elena asks him again to let them go. And Jamie, like, cocks the gun and is like, no, like, please don't do anything. I don't know why I shot him. I don't know why I'm holding this gun. But if you move or do anything, I'm going to shoot him again. And Elena's like, okay, I won't. And then she asks who gave Jamie the gun, and Jamie tells her that a man came by earlier and he gave me, you know, wooden buckshot, and that's why Stefan has all the, like, wood chips in him, and told Jamie that if he got in their way, he has to shoot him. And I also noticed at this point, like, Jamie's tearing up. I was like,
I know, he doesn't know what's going on.
He doesn't have any idea what's going on. I thought this was good acting for this actor.
Yeah.
And Elena's like, what else did the man say?
Yeah, Elena knows this game now. She's learned.
Yeah, she knows about compulsion loopholes.
Yeah, find the fault.
And Jamie says, you know, he has to shoot himself if Abby doesn't find the location of the coffins. And Elena's like, well, what about me? What did he say about me? And Jamie says that the man said not to hurt her. Obviously, she's got her out.
Yeah, got it.
And she's like, you know, if that's true, like, these ropes are too tight. Like, they're hurting me. So Jamie sort of walks towards Elena, like, you know, gotta fix it because he's compelled to not hurt her. And Elena suddenly releases herself, grabs the gun from Jamie, and, like, knocks him out with the butt of it. And she rushes over to Stefan and asks what she can do to help him. And Stefan tells her that the wood is, like, shifting inside of him, and every time he moves, it, like, scrapes up against his heart.
Yeah.
So she has to pull out the pieces.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Elena, real sport, she just, like, nods and is like, okay, let's do it.
Let's try.
Doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. She's been through a lot.
Yeah, she's been through a lot. She was always going to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how you don't... I always think I don't see it in these early seasons, but it is there.
You do, yeah.
It is evolving. But anyway, going to, of course, the race for the coffins. At the old witch house, Damon enters the room where the coffins usually are, but there's none there. The candles are lit, like, you know, the ambiance, the usual vibes of the house, but there's no coffins. And Damon, like, stops as if kind of, like, being like, that's weird, like, something's off. Almost like he didn't expect them to not be there, too. And then suddenly there are footsteps behind him, and of course Klaus appears. And he says, what took you so long? I just love it. And of course, there's a dramatic, like, cutaway right there. Where it's like, dun dun. Yeah. And then you come back from commercial. And Klaus says, hiding behind your witchy friends and in squalor, no less.
I love him.
The witches don't like that. The candles immediately burn brighter. Like, don't make fun of our home.
Yeah. Yeah, our dust-filled home.
Yeah, squalor. But yeah, so the candles are, like, burning brighter, and Klaus suddenly falls to his knees, clutching his head, shouting in pain. Obviously, the witches are going after him, giving him the aneurysm spell. And Damon says, insulting a bunch of dead witches, not smart. I made that exact same mistake the first time I came in here. He did.
Yep.
Finally, the witches let up on Klaus, and he's, like, speaking in a strained voice. They're still kind of on him, I think. And he's saying, like, the funny thing about witches is that living or dead, they care about their own. 100 dead witches have 1,000 living descendants. And so the witches are going in again. Like, he's shouting in pain again. Clearly, they're, like, pushing down on him. And he's, like, yelling, addressing the witches, obviously, very specifically, like, kind of speaking to the room. And he says, I have no problem killing every last one of them if I don't get my coffins back. As we speak, my hybrid friend is prepared to end the Bennett line. So menacing.
I know.
He does so much with his dialogue. I really love Joseph's delivery. I say it every episode, but I will keep saying it. And then suddenly, of course, this works. The candles die down. Everything, like, kind of goes quiet and calm. And Klaus isn't in pain anymore. And Damon kind of just, like, pouts, like, like, that's over.
Yeah, I was hoping that would kind of end it.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys would resolve this and I wouldn't have to do anything, but okay. And so Klaus starts, like, speaking to the room again. And he says, now, please, show me the coffins. And suddenly we see them appear in the room. And Klaus is looking at them happy, but then he realizes.
Yep.
We see the spot. The fourth one is missing. The locked one is missing.
Yep.
And he starts shouting at the room again, like, show me, the classic Klaus yelling. And Damon comes in and he's like, well, actually, here's the thing. They can't.
Yep.
It's not here.
Yep.
And Damon explains that Bonnie gave him a heads up. And he says, I didn't have enough time to get all 4, but I did have time to get just 1. And Klaus, of course, threatens him. I can, like, hear this one so well in my head where he's like, I will tear you limb from limb. And only then, when your arriving mass of blood and flesh, will I rip your heart from your chest. He's so good at the threats.
Him.
I love him.
He is.
And Damon says, sorry, same rules apply. You know, leverage and all. I know you want your family back, but something tells me that you want what's in that coffin a lot more.
Yeah.
Got him. They've got him.
Yeah. No, they got him. They know.
It was obviously smart. The locked box was the one to take. Who cares if he has Elijah, Cole, and Finn? We know he's got Rebecca and he's not undaggered her anyway. So what's it matter?
Exactly.
So Damon was able to get that one out. But of course, we've got to go check in on the Meredith situation, the B-plot of this episode.
Yeah, of course. Alaric is waiting for Meredith at the hospital, and Alaric asks her if she wants to tell him what she's up to, and Meredith realizes Damon talked to him. And Meredith says, Damon wasn't supposed to wake up so soon. I used enough Vervain to sedate him for hours. And Alaric's like, yeah, he drinks it every day to build up an immunity so people like you don't get the jump on him.
Yeah. I was surprised he was, like, defensive for Damon in that.
I know. A little rare moment during this arc. And Meredith tells Alaric that she's not crazy. And Alaric is like, really then? What are you? And paramedics are, like, at this point bringing in somebody who's clearly severely injured. They're covered in blood and bandages and they're on a stretcher. And Meredith is like, you really want to know? Stick around and find out. And then Alaric kind of looks and we see the patient and spoiling, Alaric is like, is that Bill Forbes?
Yeah.
Obviously,
clearly, like, stuff's going down.
Yeah,
and
obviously
clearly,
Tyler got to him.
Yeah, obviously. And clearly, like, the answer for, like, the question of, like, Meredith is dealing with a lot here, and we'll get into that in the next scene. But yes, going back to Abby's house, checking in on Elena with the wooden bullets in Stefan's chest.
Oh my god, yeah.
So she's, like, trying to get the pieces out of Stefan's chest, but he's, like, screaming, and she's stopping. And he's yelling at her, like, just do it. Like, get them out.
Yeah, get them
out.
out.
Can't stop.
Yeah.
And so she tries again, and finally, like, they're going back and forth for a while. Finally, she gets the bullet out. Or, like, it's not even a bullet. You see, it's, like, a broken, like, it was buckshot. So it's, like, broken little pieces of wood that were just embedded in his chest. So she got the one out that was near his heart. And so finally, like, he kind of, like, stops screaming and is, like, a little bit more relaxed. Which I was just like, how could you ever guarantee you get every little splinter out in this situation?
I know.
It's one thing when it's a bullet, but, like, this stuff where it's all broken up like this, I'm like, you'd think there'd be a splinter in his heart forever.
I know.
Just there. Yeah. Just constantly, like, grating. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anyway, now they're sitting really close together, and they're just kind of looking at each other. And he's, like, examining her, and he says, you've changed. Something's different about you. You're stronger, tougher. And Elena says, you're not the only one who changed, Stefan. We all had to. And Stefan says that it's good, like, that Elena's change is good. And they kind of have this, like, quiet pause where they're looking at each other. Clearly, this is such, like, a more different and intimate moment than they've had in, like,
all season. I feel like,
all season since like Chicago. So clearly this is like, and also after like what happened in the last one, like clearly this is like a moment, and they're kind of just sitting there, and Elena says, "There's something I have to tell you."
Of course.
And it's not because I feel guilty that it happened. It's because I feel guilty that you don't know. And she's avoiding looking at him. She's kind of just looking at his chest and looking at the ground and won't make eye contact with him. And she says, "I kissed Damon."
Yep.
And obviously, immediately, you see this affect Stefan.
Of course.
His face just like immediately goes like blank, but also looks very sad and distressed. And then he's avoiding looking at her because she like looks up at him at this point, but he just immediately is just like staring at the ground, just like zoning out. He's so clearly upset. Yeah. And Elena's like looking at him, and she like gets this like really surprised look on her face all of a sudden, like a, whoa, wait a second. You look upset. Yeah. Like clearly she's realizing, she's surprised. Like clearly this is affecting him, and she doesn't know. Like they've been talking a lot about like, is his emotions on? Are they off? Nobody really understands. But clearly she's like, they're on right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
As we've talked about multiple times, watch the Humanity Switch episode if you haven't. Yeah. Because we talk about this a lot, that like there's a lot of moments when Stefan's humanity could have been back on, but after this moment, there's no denying that it's on. There's no pretending it's not on. And so she says that she's all done getting the bullets out, and Stefan just gets up without a word and just walks away, leaving Elena like on the ground in the barn. Yeah. Clearly very, very upset.
Yeah. We'll check back in with them, but not before we see what's going on with Bill. Meredith and Alaric are at the hospital in Bill's now hospital room, and Meredith tells Alaric that he was found in the woods, and it was an actual animal attack. Yeah. Still a supernatural one, but at least an animal attack. And he had bite marks and like cuts all over his body and lost 3 liters of blood. Ew. And Alaric asks if Bill will...
I guess there's no Rippah in Mystic Falls.
No, like, I know. She's just like...
She told him everything.
I don't even know. Yeah, Meredith, kind of a crazy doctor, but...
She is a crazy doctor.
But she's fun. We love her. And Alaric asks if Bill will even make it. Obviously, that's a lot of blood to lose, and he looked bad. And Meredith says no, not on his own. And she pulls out the vial of, we know it's Damon's blood. Yeah. And puts it into a syringe. And Alaric's like, what is that? And, she says what we already know. She says it's vampire blood. And she injects Bill with it and says, you want to know my secret? I cheat. I'm a doctor. And I hate when people die. So when I can save them and, keep them from dying, I do. Like, I do it. Yeah. And Alaric is just like, he's got a lot of feelings. He's like mostly, I think, impressed. And like,
yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought, like the face he's giving her and the way they like settle on it, I was like, it's surprised for sure. Yes. But I do definitely think there's this like appreciation of being like, you're stepping up. Like, yeah. This is a hard, because I think Alaric a lot of times is in the same situation where it's like, it's so hard to like fight with all of these like, supernatural beings and like the distress that puts on human lives. And she's actively trying to do something about it. Yeah. So I do think it's like a respectful kind of like, okay. Yeah. You're doing your piece. And you're not as sketchy as we thought.
Yeah. Because it does kind of like explain, some of her weird behavior.
At least why she attacked Damon.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, it is a respectful thing. Back with Stelena, of course. At Stefan's car, like right outside of Abby's house. He's sort of just like leaning against his car when Elena walks up to him and asking him like to say something, basically just being like, she knows he's upset, obviously, and kind of wants to like see what he'll say. And surprisingly, Stefan says, I shouldn't have kidnapped you. The car, the bridge, that was too far. I said, well, duh. But
obviously.
But Elena says, thank you.
Yeah. I also, if I were Elena, I would have said, well, it's not really an apology.
That's what I thought, too. I was like, Stefan and Damon specifically always do this. They kind of just say what they did, and they, like, acknowledge that it's bad.
They're like, it was bad.
But they don't say sorry. Never. Very rarely do either of them say sorry, which made me laugh. But Elena knows that about them, and she takes it as what it is and says thank you. Yeah. And Stefan says, but you shouldn't have lied to me today. You can't go off and do things like that, Elena, not while Klaus is still alive. Which I was like, fair, I guess. Like, she needs to be safe. But also, come on. Get off your moral high ground,
I was going to say, does it even compare?
No. It doesn't compare at all. It doesn't compare at all. I think, if anything, she should have brought Damon and made him sit in the car. Like, I don't know. It's truly. It was short-sighted to think that she didn't need protection. But also, Stefan didn't really help the situation anyway. So.
No. In fact, Jamie wouldn't have shot him.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gotten his compulsion triggered if Stefan wasn't there. But anyway, Elena's like, I know. I just wanted to give Bonnie a moment with her mother without everything else getting in the way. And Stefan kind of pauses for a moment and he says, without me getting in the way. And he looks genuinely upset. And I think this is like a realization on his part too, where he's like, shoot, like, I think it goes back to what Elena was saying earlier of like, you don't realize how bad you've gotten. Yeah. And I felt like he realized that in this moment of like, I am so bad that she won't even let me tag along for like Bonnie having to see her mother for the first time in 15 years. Because I wouldn't be sensitive about that at all. I wouldn't give them any space to like have that moment. So thank God it finally clicked for Stefan and he like realized this. And Elena like brings us back to the real problem here, of course, and says, I didn't plan on kissing him. And Stefan is quiet for a minute, but eventually says, you're better than him, Elena. You're better than both of us. And he just gets in his car and reverses out of the driveway and just leaves her there. Yeah. Crazy. Which, I don't know. It's true. She is, I think at this point, like better than either of them and deserves to be with somebody better for her than either of them can be at this moment. But also, I don't know. Frankly, I just think this like whole thing is like kind of silly in a way of him being like he doesn't deserve like her trust right now. So I'm just I think it's really weird to have him be in this position of being like, I can't believe you're with him. It's like, Stefan,
come on, what did you expect?
Yeah, what did you expect to happen? You like completely abandoned her and literally tried to kill her.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. Also, even him being like you didn't want me to tag along on Bonnie. Well, actually, no. She also told Damon
not
to tag along. It's like Bonnie needed the space to do this, herself / with her best friend and her best friend only. Like, kind of not about you, Stefan. I don't know. Like
100% not about Stefan at all.
Yeah, this is where I'm like, we need to get Stefan either one way or the other. This weird in between space.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I feel too. Mm-hmm. I like him as a ripper, just like doesn't care about anybody. Yes. And I like him as sad boy soft Stefan, who's like very sensitive and emotional. He's in a really weird in between right now that's like for me very unlikable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And for everyone in the show, nobody likes him.
No one is on board with this.
Yeah, nobody liked him in the bad Stefan. Well, Klaus did, I guess.
Klaus did.
Klaus was the only one.
Yeah,
but yeah, like nobody liked him that way, and no one likes him this way.
Yeah, no.
Pick a lane, bro.
He really does need to.
So
yeah, another dislikable character.
Yeah,
we're back with the Abby Bonnie situation. Bonnie is waiting for Elena to come pick her up and is talking with Abby. Daniel's gone. And Bonnie says that, Jamie is safe and Elena's on her way. And Abby asks if the hybrid was going to come back. And Bonnie says, probably not. Like, you kept your end of the bargain, so Klaus probably will too. And then Bonnie's like, you're willing to do all this for him, and he's not even your family. Which, I didn't know how I felt about that line. I was like,
I don't like that Bonnie says it because it's like, he is family.
Yeah.
But also, Bonnie is like 17, 18 years old and deserves to be snarky to her mother who abandoned her to raise somebody else. So.
Yes, she's justified.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But we all know family is not biological. It is.
Yeah. And also, she just kind of saved his life. Like,
yeah.
Wouldn't you do that for anyone? But anyway. Yeah. Anyway. I'll defend my girl Bonnie. She deserves her moment.
She deserves to get
She deserves her moment, justified or not.
Yeah.
And Abby tells Bonnie that Jamie is her family, even if it's hard for Bonnie to hear. But it also doesn't mean that Abby doesn't care about Bonnie. Mm-hmm. And at this point, Abby says she wants to help. And Bonnie's like, you can't. You have no magic. And I don't trust you.
Yeah, I don't trust you as a huge factor.
Yeah, probably bigger than her not even having magic.
Yeah.
But Abby tells her that when she put Michael down, her magic drifted away. And the longer I stayed away from you, the weaker it got. I think nature was punishing me for abandoning you. Maybe you can help me get my magic back. Ugh.
Yeah. As it should punish you.
It should. Yeah. For like no reason. Yeah. And Bonnie says, I thought you didn't want it anymore. And Abby's like, I don't. But if it's what Bonnie wants, like if it's what you want, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, you owe her at least that much.
Yeah, you owe her at least this, but also, it's such a weird... I mean, I know she's had 15 years between the initial decision and now, but I don't know. This just feels weird to just be like, actually, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was the reality check of the way this day went down. I don't know.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know. It's so hard. I just don't really follow the whole Abby thing that well. I'm just not.
Same.
I don't care about her.
No. She doesn't get... It's almost like Jules, but... I don't know, worse in a way, where it's like, again, she doesn't get anything really redeeming.
Yeah.
They don't ever give me enough to be, like, emotionally invested in her. Like,
yeah, there's a little moment later on in the season
there's
that
a little bit,
gives you some sympathy, but
not that much.
Not that much. Not enough to ride this whole, like, situation on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not enough to make me like her after what she did to Bonnie. I don't know.
The most likable thing to her is that it's played by Persia White, who's been with Joseph Morgan for like years.
I know. I'm surprised I haven't brought it up yet, because all I could think about this whole time was I was like, how lucky she is.
I know, but it's also so funny that Klaus and Bonnie's mom are like, I think they're married.
They're married IRL, and I checked before. They are still married.
So yeah, I see them together at cons and stuff all the time. She's always following them around, like filming them and stuff. I'm like, they love each other. It's so cute.
I love them. I don't think they literally ever interact in the show, though.
No, they don't. I don't think so.
No.
So
I don't know when they would. Maybe briefly with the whole spell thing that goes down later. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny.
I know.
Yeah,
I was thinking that the whole time.
About her.
That's true. I'm like, I like her. Yeah. But not like, not the character at all.
Yeah, not the character, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Speaking of not likable, at the Mystic Falls hospital. Oh my God. It's like a default at the high school. No, the hospital. Tyler enters Bill's room, and Bill is like laying in his bed awake. And Tyler is surprised because Bill kind of looks fine. He looks normal.
Yeah.
And he says, you're better. And Bill says, yeah, I shouldn't be, but I didn't have any say in the matter.
Not happy.
Clearly not happy about the vampire blood in his system. And Tyler says, I didn't mean to hurt you. I lost control again. But Bill claims that he knew the risks, which I was like, you definitely didn't, but okay.
Bill, you would have died.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, yet you knew the risks, yet you did nothing except put a little chain on Tyler and didn't even stand behind the gate door. Like, knew the risks. No. But whatever. So Bill asks Tyler how he feels after all of that. And Tyler says different, like a little more myself. And Bill says, all right, we'll continue tomorrow then. And Tyler's like, what? Yeah. He's obviously shocked.
I turned already.
Yeah, and that was really painful. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
And Bill's like, yeah, you need to turn until it's not painful anymore. Like, you have to turn when it's painless. And based on today, like, Tyler has a long way to go before he gets there. And Tyler's like, I cannot put myself through that again. And Bill says, you will, because you're capable of acting of your own free will. Or because until you're capable of acting on your own free will, I'm not going to let you anywhere near my daughter.
Yeah.
And speaking of her, I was just like, Caroline left. She hasn't been called to the hospital.
Nope.
He's just here alone. I was like, okay, cool. I guess so.
Bill's wild. He's truly always doing his own thing.
He really is. He really is. And she'll be back tomorrow to check in on him. But, like, it's just so funny that it's like, okay, bye, Caroline.
Yeah, they said go. She went.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, went so far that she didn't come to the hospital for him, but okay.
Bill probably didn't call her. He
probably didn't.
He seems like
But how does Tyler know? I mean, I guess he mauled her, but like, or him. But like, you think he'd call Caroline?
Yeah, that's true. I don't even know.
Anyway, whatever. The boys are
trio of people.
Yeah, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
We always say this. Forbes and Lockwood's together is always a mess.
Yeah, truly.
So anyway, so they're gonna keep changing, I guess. They're gonna keep doing this. So that's where they're at.
Yeah. Now that Meredith has revealed her little secret, which is only a new secret of today, but whatever.
Yeah.
Alaric has decided to trade secrets, and he has Meredith over at the Gilbert house, and he gets a duffel bag out of like a closet under the staircase, and he pulls it out and starts showing Meredith all of the stakes and vampire weapons. And he says, like, you told me your secret, this is mine. And Meredith realizes, oh, he's a vampire hunter. And she makes a joke like, oh, you're trying to get out of taking me to dinner, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Alaric just says, no, I'm trying to be honest. And Meredith is like, okay, then, well, tell me how you survived getting hit by a truck. Your injuries were fatal. Like, did vampire blood really save you? And Alaric says, yes, that, but also this ring. And he shows her the ring, and he says, it protects me from death at the hands of supernatural beings. And Meredith is like, that's convenient for a vampire hunter. And she starts to, like, take the ring off of his finger, but he stops her. And Meredith, jokingly asks if he's worried she's a supernatural being. Alaric's like, can't be too careful. And Alaric kisses her. And at this point, Elena comes into the house and is like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward moment.
Yeah.
And Meredith is like, I'll go. And Alaric is like, okay, sure. So Meredith leaves. And Alaric apologizes to Elena. But Elena says, it's okay. Like, it's your place too. And Alaric is like, no, it's not. This isn't my place. It's yours. It's Jenna's, your family's. And Elena says, the minute you slept on that couch, it became your place too. We needed you and you stayed. So thank you for that. And I know it's hard, but Jenna's gone. You're allowed to move on.
Yeah, very sweet scene.
Yeah.
And I like how he, like, really stuttered over his line of, like, it's your family's place.
Yeah,
like, he was very, like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But then, like, I love the way that she's just immediately, like, when she caught them kissing, she, like, looked like, it was kind of the face she made at Bonnie earlier about Jamie, where it's, like, kind of that supportive, like, I'm rooting for you kind of thing. Not like oh, my God, I can't believe you're kissing your new girlfriend in my house.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it was definitely
not even for a second was she.
No, it was definitely, like, oh, I'm so happy for you, but also this is awkward.
Yeah.
She's happy for him. Like, that's really what it comes back to. So, speaking of not being happy.
Ooh, yeah.
On the flip side, we've got not happy about people kissing. At the Salvatore boarding house, Stefan enters and Damon is just, like, standing in front of the fireplace, you know, the usual hanging out, probably waiting for Stefan to tell him what he just did. And Damon says, you know, that he was only able to get one coffin out in time. Obviously, he went for the locked one, which Stefan is like, probably a good choice.
Yeah.
And Damon says that, you know, it doesn't matter anyway because Bonnie's mom doesn't even have any powers, so she's probably not going to be able to open it. Stefan obviously is, like, more annoyed, being like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Like, it's been that kind of night. And he, like, turns to leave because he's just over it and obviously doesn't even want to look at Damon after what he just found out.
Yeah.
And Damon's like, what? Like, is Elena okay? Wrong thing to say.
Yeah. Ooh.
Stefan stops in his tracks and we just see him, like, cock his, like, head to the side, like this little angle, and then he just turns around and punches Damon straight in the face, no warning.
These two.
And Damon's like, so I take it you two had a little heart to heart. And he says that, like, you know, I get it, you don't want to talk about it, noted, but why don't we talk about this? And then Damon holds up one of the original's daggers, and Stefan says, what did you do? So funny. Damon is the king of short-sighted ideas, and this is my favorite one. Like, both a safeguard, a distraction, huge risk. He doesn't know how this is going to pan out.
This could plan out, literally
but
anyway.
He's like, might as well make a big move. Like, he knew he was going to get caught not getting all the coffins. He knew there wasn't enough time. So obviously he took the best one, and he's left a little trap.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I stand by this plan. I think this was pretty good.
Well, it pans out in the next episode, as we'll see. But before we get to the next episode, we have to talk about the very last scene of whose dagger did Damon pull out?
Yes. We see at Klaus's new house, Daniel is wheeling all the coffins into a room, lining them up.
Hybrids, I love the hybrids are just always coffin wranglers.
Yeah, truly. And Daniel, the hybrid, asks Klaus if he's going to open the coffins. And Klaus says, not yet. Still have unfinished business to tend to. And Daniel asks him what business, when suddenly he starts to kind of gasp a little bit. And then he falls to the floor dead, and we see Elijah standing behind him with Daniel's heart in his hand. Klaus is shocked.
His face is priceless.
It's so good. And Elijah starts to say, Sonny Klaus. Klaus just gives a little, Elijah. Yeah. And Elijah finishes saying, what did I miss?
Yes.
Finally.
Oh my God. I literally started, like, fist pumping when this episode ended. I was like, Elijah's back. Elijah, my favorite.
Thank God.
Finally, this story is getting started. Also, just have to say on this, I just love that Elijah woke up from, like, the coffin, had no idea what's going on, where he is, who these people are, what year it is. He just saw this guy talking to Klaus and was like, I like a traumatic entrance.
Die.
Yeah. Don't know who this guy is. Could be like their long lost, like, best friend. You know, he's just like, I'm gonna pull out his heart. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Could have been cold, dyed his hair blonde. Like, he doesn't even know.
Could be anybody. And he was like, I'm gonna kill him. Klaus deserves that.
Oh, I love Elijah.
So
glad
me too. So I'm so excited for the next episode.
Yeah. First, let's turn it over to our voicemail host to see what they have to say about this episode.
Hi, this is actually still Sarah. I'm editing this episode right now, and not a single person called in about this episode, which is very odd. I don't know. It's kind of interesting what that says about this episode. It's kind of a hard one to remember. I feel like the Abby, Bonnie, Elena stuff is the thing that sticks out the most. But yeah, otherwise it's sort of like a weird in-between episode. I feel like people will have more to say next week, so please call in about that episode. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you to our voicemail host.
Yeah.
And to wrap up this week's episode, first, just talked about it a minute ago.
Yeah.
Deaths. The only one this episode was Daniel, just killed by Elijah.
Following the form.
Yep.
Hybrid introduced, hybrid killed. That's how it goes. Yeah.
And an Elijah heart extraction.
Oh,
Two
classic.
things that were destined to align at one point. Yeah.
My fave. Then less favorites of things are out of pocket / things we would have done differently. I had a hard time choosing for this one because I don't think there was a lot of like characters being out of pocket. I did think Abby just generally is out of pocket. Like I couldn't even narrow it down to a specific thing. So it's like on the flip side, on the one side it's like too serious of like she abandoned her child. On the flip side it's like she's being stuck in this situation because of Klaus. So I don't really know, but I was just like, Abby to me personally is an out of pocket character. And then other than that, I was thinking Damon when he tells Bonnie that he and Elena kissed and then just leaves just to drop a bomb since he's like mad he's not allowed on the road trip.
I love that for him. Yeah, I had sort of two also. I had like in world, I thought Bill just chopping at Tyler with an axe.
I forgot about that.
Was outrageous. Also, Bill just getting involved in that situation at all. It's like so we said, not behind the gate, nothing. Just wild, out of pocket. And then, from a writer perspective, I don't know. I just feel like everything about Abby and Jamie. I have so many questions that really ultimately never get resolved and like don't always make the most sense.
So more of a would do differently than an out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly. I had like an out of pocket and then like our would do differently like we sometimes do. So I don't know.
I mean, I think the winner is would do differently Abby and Jamie.
I think so too.
I just, like I said, throughout the whole episode, like I just don't follow a lot of it and I just don't agree with a lot of it.
I know. It's also hard because you don't care enough to really even like follow it that much either. So it's like,
which is disappointing when like I think again the Isabel example is the perfect example. We get like 2 episodes of Isabel and Max.
And we're like we could dissect them for 10 days.
Literally, and we only get the 1 episode of her in season 1 and then 1 episode in season 2 and we learn so much. We feel so many things about all of that. And then Abby here gets this 1 episode and you're like, I don't really get it.
I don't really care.
I don't know. We'll have more to say on Abby as she appears in like the next episodes especially and then more later on throughout the season. But for me it is the would do differently at this point. I just agree. Don't feel like the landing was like really stuck for me. But
I agree.
So would do differently.
And for quote, I only had one and it's, I know we sometimes say like we don't do like a little exchange, but this was really the only thing that I really like, I don't know, I like audibly laughed at and I liked when Alaric said, I wonder what my exes would call me. And Damon just goes, nothing. They're all dead.
I had the same one.
Okay, good.
I had the same one. That's so funny.
It's like he got him.
Yeah, he got him. I had that one too. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
I also had one slightly serious one from Elena of, you're not the only one who changed. We all had to. So that was like a nice, like, it is true. We all did have to change. And my favorite one, the funniest one to me, was when Damon said, when Meredith asked why he's in the hospital, and Damon said,
that was good.
Strolling through the halls, I like to wave at the newborns through the windows. I was like, that's so funny. But I do kind of think the Alaric one is funnier. Of all of his exes are dead.
He's right. They are.
I think that can be our winner.
Yeah,
it's okay that it's a double exchange.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nothing. They're all dead.
Yeah. The winner of best quote.
Yeah.
Song, for me it's really easy. I only have 1 song. It was just such a winner to me.
Yeah.
And there were a few other songs played and just none of them really stuck out enough for me to want to make them an honorable mention. So I just went with the winner.
Yeah, I agree. I assume we're probably talking about the same song.
Yeah.
Lonely Boy by the Black Keys.
I love, as usual.
Yeah.
I love the Black Keys. I love Lonely Boy. One of my favorite songs just generally.
It's so good.
When you have it in an
feels
episode,
so Klaus.
Yes, and I love that it's for Klaus and Stefan talking at the Salvatore house. Like it's such a vibe.
Yeah.
And Klaus just sitting by himself drinking, listening to Lonely Boy. I'm like, I want to be there. I want to live in that moment.
I know. It's really good. That's obvious winner.
I love that song.
Yeah.
So we'll be adding Lonely Boy by the Black Keys to our best song of the episode playlist. We have every winner of every best song up to this episode from the pilot. And we also have a season 3 playlist where we have all of the winners, all of the honorable mentions. So you can listen to all of the season 3 highlights so far.
Yeah.
We also have linked in our various bios and descriptions our TikTok, our Instagram. We always do fun polls. I guess you got to vote on Elena's outfit this week. Yeah. And, we always have other fun interactive things that you can do and, clips and memes, just all sorts of stuff. So follow us there, join along.
Yeah. And listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch the video version on YouTube if you're not already doing that. Yeah. So join us next Thursday for season 3, episode 13, Bringing Out the Dead.
Yeah.
Finally, the originals are
back.
The
originals.
The dead. Yeah, they are the dead that are being brought out.
Exactly.
Yep.
So excited for that one.
Same.
Thanks for watching and or listening to this one. Bye.